What's your end game? If you're a technology executive or an aspiring entrepreneur, you have technology, you understand technology, you're going somewhere, you better make sure you know where you're going and be prepared to phase out. That's what real entrepreneurialism is. There's got to be an end in sight. Nobody knows that better than Jeff Hicks. He's the CEO of 21CSI, which is a military defense contractor, a software developer, an R&D organization, fascinating global organization. Jeff Hicks, welcome to NxBizSuccess.
Thank you, Len. Glad to be here.
It's my pleasure. You've been around 21CSI, which is a military software developer and far more than that, defense contractor, let's say that at the very least, for 10 years. Your original inventor, patent developer, he's no longer part of it. You're here. What do technology executives struggle with, in your opinion, just to the bottom line, in terms of where they're going with their careers and the evolution of the company?
Well, I think they get tied in with the technology too easy. It becomes their baby. They own it. It's very hard to give it up. And one of the things around our company, I ask people all the time what my motto is, and that is I'm trying to work myself out of a job. Not a paycheck, but a job.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you said not a paycheck, by the way.
And that's a little tongue-in-cheek, but what I'm really trying to get at is little by little, an entrepreneur has to be able to give up part of the company. And when I came with the company, employee number 5, what does the title mean? You do everything. You do everything from accounting to writing reports to technology to taking out the trash, everything, HR. Slowly but surely over time, as the company begins to grow, you have to give up. You have to give up part of the control of the company.
Yes.
And you have to find the right people to give that up.
Yeah, and that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, people say, well, of course, that's obvious, but it's really not so obvious once you're in the middle of it. Your firm has evolved from an R&D firm, basically doing just R&D, and then a few years into your tenure there, you kind of moved your organization's vision towards commercial applications of your software, thinking more like being marketing guys. That's a huge cultural shift. How did you manage that as specifically as possible?
Well, I think the realization of one day, our first major project had been received very well by the federal government. It had gotten money. For a variety of reasons, the program was cut. It ended up with running out of money, and the project was put on the shelf.
Oh, that's too bad.
But to me,
maybe it forced you to think about things differently.
Exactly, because no one really looked at it. It was almost as if we were a nonprofit R&D organization. The R&D was done, you put it away. But that was really a failure upon our part because we weren't looking at how do we take the capital that we had developed in that product and extract it. And so that's where you're getting back to the marketing of those products, whether it be to the federal government or commercially dual-use technologies. Being able to get those technologies and extract the economic value out of it by some means that you created.
At that juncture, and I realize it wasn't one day or a week or a month, but you had your founder there, you had this evolving vision. How did you manage that? Did he come to realize the company was changing its complexion and kind of eased out of the picture? And I mean, did you bring in new executives or change the procedures?
Well,
what'd you do?
It's been a continuing process. It's been over 3 years. So it's not just a day one, you snap your fingers and it's done.
Right.
We have brought in a number of key executives to take our federal side going forward, our global services, and our commercial, be able to take those into places that I know that I could never get them.
Okay.
And so that's part of giving up the control.
Okay.
Setting up new procedures, being able to retrain a whole organization. If you could think about it, as I say, trying to realize that you are a for-profit organization. It's about profit. It's being about taking care of the shareholders, taking care of the people who made it happen.
Did your scientific staff, your technology people and so on, your development, did they resist it? Was it hard for them to understand what are we doing here now? Did they become demoralized because their purpose or vision had changed, or what?
Well, it is a struggle, and I have to continually talk to the company, and I call it our small business. Because even though we have gone from 5 people when I came with the company to 150 people now, we are much different, but at the same time we are the same small business, the same values. You have to keep talking about those and being able to instill those values into the growing corporate culture, and that does change over time. That's why I said it's been a 3-year process.
Yeah.
We're going down to really let everybody know that we're going to try to extract the economic value that we've created out of it.
Now, that seems obvious, by the way, to most small business people who are running around trying to get the client, the next job, the next project, make some money, bank it, pay some bills. To sit around and listen to you and I talk about extracting economic value out of software seems a little bit remote from the daily reality, the gritty reality that a small business person has. But I realize with your military and the government background, that really is the reality. I can see you leaning across the table and saying, guys, it won't sell, so let's do something else.
Well, there's all kinds of good ideas that we actually make we have to figure out exactly how we're going to...
Who would want this?
Exactly. And it may be that it's not us that ends up selling it. I have a project that we call Scryer. It's basically is a routing tool, but you could use it in a mall. But it's not the little old lady who's looking up to see where the pennies is. It could be the advertiser who ends up being the ultimate customer here, because he's the one who would be able to use this tool to his value.
I see. I'll tell you what, it's a creative thing. You really have to kind of think outside the box, and yet guys like you really have to, early in your career, focus inside the box. So it's a transformation. Where do you go in your career as a technology executive now? How do you go home at night with your wife and say, honey, I think I'm going to phase out of this thing, even though I love it every day? I mean, how do you make that personal decision very quickly?
Well, first of all, our company model is that we're spinning off several businesses as we go. Our former COO, Dave Anderson, is now a CEO. And I trained him, and now he's taking over a company called Elios Incorporated.
So you have leadership development going on.
Absolutely,
okay.
and so, but I see it, that there would be a change in the future, but who knows what the future brings.
That's right, that's right. Well, Jeff Hicks with 21 CSI in the Omaha, Nebraska area, I thank you for sharing this kind of personal insider story, or the secrets of the evolution and the transformation of 21 CSI. It has huge implications. Everybody, whether in the technology industry or not, can learn from the evolution and your maturity. Thank you again. NxBizSuccess will be back next time, but don't forget the lessons. Every time you get started on a venture, there's got to be a midpoint and an end point. Jeff Hicks has told us how to do it. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. Keep on going and keep on growing.